So today I'm going to share a framework that I took from Ryan Serhant. He is a big New York City realtor. He's written like three books now, has a Netflix series, makes a ton of coin, and has really good systems that I find are applicable to our industry as well. So it's one of those things that I would suggest like going to different industries, even though real estate's in our space, but like seeing what other people are doing and what you can apply to your business. So he calls this the fucked framework. So my training today is get fucked. It stands for finder, keeper, doer. So it's very easy to remember and a very simple frame to apply to your day. So I would suggest once you have this in mind, look at every day you're doing and see how you could implement it. So just some things that would fall in the finder category are anything that's going to grow leads or business for you. So, for example, prospecting hour, these prospecting calls we do is a great way to maintain consistency there. Your social media posting and engaging there, maybe doing a webinar with a realtor or financial advisor, doing your usual realtor lunches, office visits, your Zoom presentations with realtors, financial advisors, lawyers, etc. Some of you might decide, hey, I'm going to go to open houses. A lot of people have had success with that. It is something that's went kind of the way of the dodo during the pandemic, but is coming back now. Weekly email is something that we implement, database mining, looking for new leads from your previous clients, and then just attending and engaging at community events. Now, you don't have to do everything here. I'm not saying like fill your day with full binder tasks because you won't get anything else done, but you want to make sure that your week and has these in it, and every day you're doing something that brings leads in. One thing we notice is a roller coaster production. And that's why at Tango we put the prospectors hour in, because we would see people go crazy and get like 10 to 15 files in one month. And then the next month they have two. And they're on this perpetual cycle of trying to catch up. And it's sort of like that story of Sisyphus pushing a rock up the hill. He never gets there because it just falls back down, and you're constantly in this push and grind mode to reestablish your business. Whereas in reality, it's a lot easier to just maintain and keep the momentum going.
Yeah, that's why we have these calls in place is so you guys can show up and be consistent, and you have been. So kudos to you, and you're going to see a difference this year in your business, absolutely. And that's why I like picking only a few of these finder areas for business, and I typically try to veer around figuring out which ones I can do on that daily cadence versus like I'm just using an example, community events. That's cool. Like I'm sure it drives in business for some people. For me, I wasn't able to really put that into a daily thing because obviously if you're trying to go to a community event every day, first of all, it's gonna be hard to find that. And second of all, that could be half your day gone. So I prefer doing things where I can just do it for maybe hour each day.
Yeah, you can also scale this and like Tom said, put in those daily pieces, but then say, hey, I'm going to do one quarterly community event.
Yeah.
I built up a really nice core of my business in Sarnia, which is not where I live, by doing all the daily stuff, but then by throwing in like 2 to 4 visits a year. And now, like over this past year, I haven't been able to go as much, just busy on other things. And I've noticed that my lead source from there has suffered because those people still do want to see you and know that you're investing in their community, not just looking at them as a referral source. The next big one is Keeper, and Keeper is your way of getting all of those people who come in the top of the funnel to stay with you and do business with you. So some examples there are client follow-ups during and post transaction. It's very easy to stay on top of clients while you're working on a file with them. It's very hard to stay in touch with them when we feel like there's not reasons to connect and reasons to check in with them. So something like this would be like doing an annual review with them, sending them a birthday text, checking in, making sure their first payment's coming out okay. Just little things like that that show you're caring outside of the initial transaction. Another great way to keep clients is by doing updated videos with budgets for any properties they're considering, by doing those strategy calls and showing them you're going above and beyond and you're planning with them. Touched on birthday text already. And last, just like show your gratitude for working with them. So closing calls to clients, referral partners, anyone in the transaction. Shows a level of professionalism. It keeps them in your orbit and it creates that referable experience. Another good one here that I didn't note is if a client sends you a referral, send them some gratitude back. Like it's something you really want to encourage the behavior of them continuing to send the people in their orbit to you.
Yeah, two really quick ones you can implement today and not really stress about trying to put this into your client journey and stuff is the first one is the birthday text. We went over this really briefly the other day with being able to zap the client's birthdays into your phone. That's an easy one that you can do today and do that ongoing. The second one is the annual review calls. I started doing this about 2 months ago where I have Diana, our assistant, she'll book the annual review call in the calendar once we're all conditions met in the client journey. So it gets done automatically. It's already in the calendar for the previous year. And it's just I already know at least once a year I'm having that one-to-one conversation with that client.
For sure. And even if they have to reschedule, it's still another reason to connect with them and have a little bit of a quick conversation. Okay, last one is doer. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's all the stuff you have to do to maintain your life and business. So things like paying your bills, lender trainings, training your staff, and potentially hiring. These are all things that, yes, they are important and you should do them, but they do not drive any revenue for you. Outside of hiring, that could potentially drive some revenue for you. But these are typically admin tasks, and people have a tendency to create these massive to-do lists. You probably just saw mine when I accidentally shared that other screen. But then they only do their admin tasks because they're very quick to check off and they don't require any form of resistance. Someone's not going to say no to you paying a bill, whereas someone might say no to booking a meeting with you. So you can feel that bit of dopamine without having to put any risk and putting yourself out there. So be careful to look at your list and make sure you're not having too much in that doer category, because then you will feel like you're accomplishing a lot, but really day to day, you're just checking boxes.
The nice part is you're banging off at least two of those every day in 1 hour. That you got the lender training, which we have them come on weekly, and then you've got the training itself, which we're doing right now, and you're doing the finder for the first half hour. So in 1 hour a day, you're getting three things done, three main things that you need.
Yeah, I think if you implement this, and I use Toggle to track everything, I think if you implement this system, you can get everything done in from call it 9 to 1,
Yeah,
and then your afternoons are free to do whatever you want that grows your business or just
client
feed your
calls and
life.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So why I like this framework is you can look at your day through this frame and very quickly see if you're misallocating your time and not staying on top of things. Um, you can add more to the pile if you feel like, hey, I don't have a lot of leads right now, or I'm not trending in the direction that I want to go. You can then pour some more gas on the fire there. I've already touched on this, but I combine this with Toggle. It sends a report every Sunday, and I can look at my week before. So I looked at the week this morning, and I was like, all right, well, I spent 12 hours doing different like admin things for the brokerage. How can I do less of that and focus more on prospecting and growing both sides of the business? It then also helps us when we're looking, okay, where do we need to hire? So, years before, I had a lot of time spent on doer tasks of like putting together signing packages, uploading documents to lenders, doing compliance, all of these different things. Now we've hired for that. I don't have to do that at all. Part of me kind of misses it sometimes because someone will ask me a question. I'm like, it's been so long since I've done it. I actually don't have the answer for you. But it's
You can do
also,
my compliance if you want.
yeah,
I was gonna say, man, I do not miss it at all.
it's also so far removed from my brain, which allows me to focus on other growth activities and drive the scale forward.
Makes sense.
Cool. So
Are,
that's the
are you
Get
going to
Five.
upload? Will you upload this into the?
Yes, I
Yeah.
will.
I like it. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an easy way to frame everything. I like it too. When with your Toggle app, do you break it down in this model FKD?
I have done that before. What I do now is I'll put like toggle, I'll set like prospecting. So every time I'm on prospecting calls, I do that. If I'm doing something for the podcast, it's like a commission breath tracker. Anything for Tango, it's Tango tracker. So it just kind of tracks it there. If I'm doing like payroll, it's done as like an admin payroll thing. So I can go through and say, okay, that takes me an hour a week or whatever it is. And then it's very granular at the end of the year if you define categories of looking back over. So 2024, like it was crystal clear to me that I didn't do enough prospecting when I
You
looked.
were a doer, buddy.
Yeah, I
You
was
were,
a doer.
we were both doers.
Exactly. And so seeing that, I'm like, okay, shit. I know that I can only go so far in the business by doing that. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's more of a management role, but at the time and place where we are, we still need to have growth in other areas of our business. And in order to get that, I need to put prospecting back as a priority. So these calls, I show up, I force myself to do the prospecting too, to do outreaches and check-ins and stuff that might get brushed aside if I was just focused solely on the management of the brokerage.
And some of these too, if you use the keeper category as an example, some of these are permanent decision, permanent actions and growth in your company and your business that you can implement right away. That's why I love the keeper category because to me, I look at that as like strictly client journey and client referrals in the future. And a lot of this stuff you can implement within like half hour, and it's there in your business forever. That's why I love client journey because these kind of things you can implement will continue to grow your business with referrals on autopilot. I can say confidently in Q4 of last year, I focused a lot on revamping my client journey because I wanted to focus more on client referrals. So that way I can do a bit less of the finder to focus more on Tango. And this year already within the first month, I'm definitely seeing a lot more client referrals from clients I just closed last year, late last year. So if you can, I would implement some keeper stuff right away. And if it's outside of business hours, like sometimes I'll do the keeper stuff at like nighttime, like 1 hour a night or on the weekends, because that's when people can't, well, they won't interrupt you as much as during the day.
Yeah, one way I like to look at it is if you were to only ever get one lead again in your business, and you had to close that lead and all future business was going to come from their network, what would you implement and how would you treat them? And then put those in your keeper tasks. So you'd have really great communication. You'd have dialed in budgets for them. You would follow in and follow up with them and make sure the whole process went like super smooth with them. You would touch base with the realtors on both sides of the transaction. You'd have create a relationship with the lawyer. Like all of these things you can do and should do for every one of your files. I get it. Everyone gets busy. It gets pushed aside. Shit happens. But the more of this that you can make part of your process, the more referrals you're going to get, the more business you're going to close, and the more success you're going to have.
And the next level to that is mark down which tasks from that list can be outsourced to an assistant. Like if you don't have an assistant yet, marking those down in advance will help you when you make that hire because you already know what they're going to be doing for you in the future. And it's stuff that gets done without you investing your time into doing it.
Exactly.